Jackie Gleason looks for a younger clone. Soupy Sales looks for a victim. While Star Trek II is thinking about Star Trek III. The super hype begins. Dallas wins a week. And a new star is presented to an American institution. As Entertainment Tonight scores a big one for Wednesday, January 20th, 1982.
Hello again, everybody. Glad you're back with us, and fasten those seat belts because we're coming at you with another fast-paced look at the world of entertainment.
That's right, Ron. We've got Jackie Gleason, Soupy Sales, and guest host Sally Kellerman with a very special look behind the scenes of Star Trek II. Plus, have a pencil handy to be part of our telephone poll. First, Ron, with the news.
The youngster in this photograph is, are you ready for this? Jackie Gleason when he was about 10 years old. And here's Jackie again in the middle of a school picture. There's a movie part now waiting for a boy who looks like Gleason looked.
Columbia Pictures held a news conference yesterday to announce the search for a 10-year-old boy that looks like none other than Jackie Gleason. Playing Gleason's son, he'll co-star with the great one and Richard Pryor in The Toy. Gleason was at the conference and had a few choice answers to reporters' questions.
Well, here we are, friends. What did I look like when I was 10? Thank you. I looked 11. I imagine that there'll be a few paternity suits. Someone will insist that the kid looks like me because scene stealers never bother me. When someone is stealing a scene, you just stand there and let the audience know that he's trying to steal a scene. I don't refer to myself as an actor. I refer to myself as an actor and a comedian. I would like to remind most everyone that there have been many comedians who became great actors, but very few great actors who ever became comedians.
Terrific guy. We've been telling you all week long that there's an ever-growing controversy about Francis Ford Coppola's new movie, One from the Heart. The film will be previewed in Los Angeles tonight, and Michelle Russell has the latest details.
The fate of Francis Ford Coppola's $23 million romantic movie, One from the Heart, may rest on people like these that are up bright and early this morning waiting in line for tickets for tonight's special screening. Because in the audience will be representatives from film companies interested in picking up distribution on the movie since its original distributor, Paramount, dropped it. So the reaction of these people is going to be very important.
Francis Coppola is one of the best filmmakers this country's generated, and I really liked Apocalypse Now, even though I heard that the advanced screenings of that were negative, and I think The Conversation was one of the finest films made. And if this film doesn't do well, if it's not supported, I think it'd be a real shame because he's an inventive man and he should be supported.
He's always going to be able to make movies because he is so good at what he does. Whether he can do it completely on his own terms, I'm not so sure about.
I've heard that stylistically it's very good. The production values are great, but that dramatically it's weak. I'll have to judge for myself.
The reaction of tonight's audience, which will be made up of show business pros and fans, will determine not only the fate of one movie, but also of Coppola's studio, Zoetrope, which has been mortgaged to pay for the completion of the film. Back to you, Ron.
Michelle, will Coppola be there tonight?
Well, nobody knows for sure, but rumor has it that he's still in seclusion in Tulsa. But if I had millions of dollars resting on one evening, I think I'd be there.
Thank you, Michelle. Dixie?
Mark Fowler, chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, has been very busy lately, spreading the Reagan administration's gospel of deregulating broadcasting. As he told Huell Hauser, today's FCC believes in keeping its hands off our TV dials.
Well, Hugh, right now, the government still is involved in some measure in determining what people see and hear. And I think under the First Amendment, that's very terribly wrong. I believe that the First Amendment means what it says, that we can't in any way abridge freedom of speech or of the press. And I think it's dangerous for the government to determine or sit astride that pipeline of ideas and information so that we determine in some measure what people see and hear. I want the marketplace to do that.
One of the issues currently facing Fowler and the FCC is whether to let the three networks expand their evening newscast from 30 minutes to an hour. That extra half hour would probably be taken away from the program you watch after the network news. And that's the subject of this week's Entertainment Tonight telephone poll. Now here's the question. Would you like to see network news expanded to an hour? To vote yes, call 1-900-720-6000. To vote no, call 1-900-720-6600. Now, our poll isn't scientific, but it should give a pretty good picture of how Americans feel about expanded network news. Since each call costs you 50 cents, don't try to stuff the ballot box by voting more than once. Those numbers again. To vote yes, I do want to see network news expanded to an hour, call 1-900-720-6000. To vote no, call 1-900-720-6600. We'll have the results on tomorrow's show, and we'll make sure they get to each network news president. At this time of year in Pontiac, Michigan, they used to see dollar signs counting cars coming off the assembly lines. But the auto business is stalled, and interest in it has taken a back seat to the Super Bowl this Sunday in Pontiac. The Super Bowl does have dollar signs written all over it. CBS TV has already spent over $1.6 million just getting ready to telecast the game. Come Sunday, the network will run 23 commercials during that game at a cost to the advertisers of, are you ready, $690,000 a minute. Now that comes to a total of nearly $16 million in the CBS cash register. Football fans will be adding millions of dollars to the local economy. One estimate is that they'll spend over $60 million while in Pontiac. And the game itself is attracting everybody's attention.
Over 1,000 members of the media waited in 11-degree weather for the chance to descend upon the dome and the players. The Super Bowl media blitz officially began, and the press outnumbered the players more than 10-1.
Can you hear me?
Not only were there more huddles Tuesday on the AstroTurf than there will be this Sunday, but these media huddles rival the ones in the game for importance in the world of Super Bowl hype.
This is a whole lot easier way than beat my brother in pool to make a living out there, or emptying trash bags.
Oh, I think it's fun. You know, you got to get everything in perspective. I'll be very honest. You know, this stuff is fun for me. You know, if in this business, you got to be a little bit of a ham anyway.
I think the hoopla is great. I think it's a great way to end a football season. I think it's we're just doggone lucky to be a part of it.
Up until 4:15, we will accord the Super Bowl the hype that it's earned. At 4:15. Either Ray Wershing or Jim Breach will put the ball on the tee, and at that point the hype stops and we treat it like a game, like a football game.
CBS had another winning week in the ratings department. CBS won every time period on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights to take the week with an average rating of 21.5. ABC was in second place with a rating showing of 19.6, and NBC, well back in third, nearly 5 points out of second, as a matter of fact, at 14.8. Here's a rundown of the top 10 shows. It was CBS in first place with Dallas, What Else Is New? In second place with 60 Minutes, nothing new there. And in third with a Saturday night movie showing of Help Wanted Mail. ABC was in fourth place with Victims on the Monday night movie. Then it was CBS again in fifth with Magnum P.I. And in sixth place with The Dukes of Hazzard. Three's Company put seventh place in ABC's column. And ABC got eighth spot with Too Close for Comfort. MASH was ninth for CBS, and Walt Disney rounded out the top 10 for CBS with Tales of the Apple Dumpling Gang. NBC's best showing in the Nielsen charts was Facts of Life, which tied for 13th with Real People, another NBC show, and The Jeffersons on CBS. Hill Street Blues slipped a bit for NBC, down to 27th place, and the second showing of Fame on NBC wound up way down in 43rd out of 69 programs ranked. One of the season's big surprises in the ratings department was the PBS broadcast debut of Brideshead Revisited, which finished in the top 5 against network competition both in Los Angeles and New York. Those, of course, are overnight ratings for major markets, so we'll have to wait until next week to see how the show did in the national ratings across the country.
Coming up, we go behind the scenes for an exclusive look at the new Star Trek movie. Plus, a visit with Soupy Sales in New York, the old and the new.
NewsCenter 22 is #1 because of people like Norm Peters.
We work hard to bring you an accurate and comprehensive view of the day's news.
Dave Madsen.
With our microwave facilities, we can bring you a story live within just a few minutes.
Cy Becker.
We have 5 crews of reporters and photographers on the road each weekday.
Meteorologist John Quill.
I'll keep you abreast of latest weather conditions and bring you my up-to-the-minute forecast.
With NewsCenter 22, you'll be the first to know.
Folks, I hate losing, and this neat lady sitting next to me just beat me unmercifully about an hour ago in a game of one-on-one basketball. Sally Kellerman, of course, a fine actress, and she's joining us today as our special guest host for the rest of the week. We're glad to have you with us, but you better not beat me in the rematch tomorrow. I'm warning you.
Well, Ron, it's lovely to be here. I probably will be beating you.
Okay, we'll see about that.
Anyway, it is nice to be here following in the footsteps of Mark Harmon and Jane Kennedy.
That was fun having them.
I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of fun on the show.
Well, you're going to have a special amount of fun introducing this next story, and for a good reason, because you are in it. Tell them about it.
Oh, I love seeing things I'm in. I remember, well, it was back in 1966. I was 12. I was the guest star on the pilot of Star Trek. I had special magical powers, and let me tell you, back then we couldn't have guessed the power and popularity that Star Trek would achieve. If you're like millions of Trekkies across the galaxy, and you're waiting for Star Trek II, the movie, well, you'll have to wait until June to see the movie, but you won't have to wait any longer for this exclusive behind-the-scenes look.
Captain's log, stardate 7412.6. The impossible has happened.
That was the feeling among the members of the original crew of the Starship Enterprise when they were reunited in 1979 in one of the most expensive movies ever made, over 10 years after their television series had been canceled.
Never did we dream that 10 years later we'd be back as a, what, 40-some-odd million dollar film. And then a few years after that, here we are, you know, in the torpedo room of Star Trek II.
Thank God, you know, that we were all there and back together again. And to me, it's a family that should never be broken up.
It fits like a glove, Captain.
Like it or not, we're part of a legend.
The destiny of that legend is now in the hands of 2 newcomers to Star Trek lore, executive producer Harv Bennett and director Nicholas Meyer, who quickly discovered the dedicated and vocal following enjoyed by Star Trek.
More than interested, almost frantic about it.
At a given point, due to pressure from fan people and what's the story going to be and what's this and what's that, you can understand that we were kind of being driven up the wall by the volume of mail, by pressure tactics, by certain people who, as I say, felt overpossessive about Star Trek. So we simply decided on a policy, and the policy is closed set. It's not a stunt. It's not a gag. It's not a publicity gimmick. It is a protective way of letting us do our work and make the best possible movie we can make.
And you can see the problems. Like the man who crossed an Idaho potato with a sponge. Tasted horrible, but it sure held a lot of gravy. I don't exactly know how that fits in, but I do know. I don't think a bunch of people can sit around and say, I think this should happen. Because then you get a movie that comes out that looks like something stamped on office furniture.
Opinion, Mr. Spock.
Recommend we proceed, Captain.
Despite the external influences, all systems are go on Star Trek II for a June release. And the feeling around the set is so positive, there's already talk of continuing the saga.
Star Trek III is a possibility. I think it's a distinct possibility. I think we'd have to fail pretty badly and prove that nobody wanted to see Star Trek again not to be able to do Star Trek III.
It's a little premature at this particular moment to decide exactly what the next, if any, Star Trek project should be about and who should be involved with it and in what capacity.
I need a recommendation, Spock, not vague warning.
I am looking forward to discussing as soon as possible the next Star Trek motion picture and my involvement with it.
Now I'm ready for anything. Maybe we'll be doing the geriatric Star Trek.